This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century. What's up, family? Happy Now Year. Once again, Happy Now Year. This is Brother Ron of We All Be News, Radio, and TV with another wonderful infotaining, edutaining edition of The Art of It Stinks, aka the Dot Provocateur. Once again, it's your Dot Provocateur with some news that you can use. And this is like the first Happy New Now Year broadcast of 2019. And let's get into it. There's so much stuff going on in the news. I know y'all, it's been a long time. I shouldn't left you without some dope info that you can use, yo. What's the dealie, yo? Let me say, oy vey, Brother King James, a.k.a. LeBron, who in my opinion is more royal than Queen Elizabeth. And he's in the news again. He should run for president in 2020. I think he probably could win. He probably could be, or is he too young to be considered president? But the way this country is going, I can see Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, actually being president, because America gets the leadership that it deserves, right? We're living in an era of bread and circuses. It's like the Roman Empire on performance enhancing drugs, enhancing drugs, because America is going real fast to a place that we cannot return. Self-destruction. We're headed for self-destruction. But anyway, let's get to LeBron James. LeBron James made the media distraction outlets recently with a video I believe he did on his birthday. It's your birthday! December 30th, 1984, he was born. So I believe he did a video with some of his yes, y'all, man. His yes, y'all, man, that said that he was I'm the greatest of all times. That he was the greatest in terms of basketball play. That he's the GOAT. That he's better than MJ. Not Michael Jackson, but Mike Jordan. That he's the greatest of all time. And it's a lot of controversy. Now he's in that debate, right? LeBron has accumulated some amazing stats and things on his record of note. You know, he's still playing. He really got a good shot of being, or really a great shot if he stays healthy, of being the all-time NBA scoring leader champ, which is now a #1 spot held by the one and only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which is strange to me that he's never really in that GOAT conversation. I mean, he should be in that GOAT conversation, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This man played 20 years in the NBA as a center and was very dominant. And I'm a Shaq fan, but Kareem was dominant not only at the professional level, but at the collegiate level. He played at the UCLA of John Wooden's UCLA, where they were just basically destroying the competition. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar should be considered for that spot. You know, 6 MVPs, 6 NBA titles. He won one with Oscar Robertson and the Milwaukee Bucks back in the day. And they was actually on their way to acquiring Dr. J. Can you imagine a team with Oscar Robertson, Mr. O, Big O, arguably the greatest point guard of all time, who's never really considered for that? You know, he was the first one before Westbrook to average a triple-double in a season. You know what I'm saying? He did that. Big O, Oscar Robertson. Can you imagine with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson, and Dr. J, Julius Erving? I bet he wouldn't let nobody cut his hair. That's another story. But can you imagine a team with them 3 guys on there? You talking about a super team. But, they fell through. Dr. J played a lot of his career also in the ABA with the Virginia Squires. I mean, he's a legend. I mean, we don't really see, that's the problem. We talk about GOAT. People want to say, well, is either Michael Jordan or LeBron James? But the thing about it is, there's a lot of great players that came through. Jerry West played in the NBA when there was no three-point line. He was making all types of crazy shots. Imagine if they had a three-point line in the NBA during the times of some of these greats like Oscar Robertson. They had a three-point line in the prime of their careers. I'm just saying, the game doesn't change. Like, the game doesn't change from Jordan's era. And I really do believe, in my humble opinion, that Jordan is the greatest. Just based on what he was able to do. And I'm a LeBron fan too, but here's the thing. I think LeBron James is more closer or closest to Jesus than he is to MJ. To me, he's closer to Jesus than MJ. And y'all be saying, Ron, that's blasphemy. Blasphemy. No. Hear me out. Hear me out. LeBron James, born December 30th, 1984, Akron, Ohio, right? To a teenage mother, single parent teenage mother, Gloria James. So he is arguably the greatest high school basketball player of all time. Look what he was Mr. Ohio in basketball 3 times. Appear on the cover of some of the top, sports magazines like Sports Illustrated, ESPN. They're doing pay-per-views for his games. They're playing in arenas for his home games in his hometown. He's doing some phenomenal things. Man, he was trying to get in the NBA without a high school diploma. That's how great he was at the high school level. Won championships, all that stuff. Go to the NBA. Draft class of 2003 that also produced Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony, probably one of the greatest draft classes of all time, if you really think about it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he might not won as many championships as people may like for him to have won, but he has been far from a disappointment. LeBron James have lived up to the hype and more. Michael Jordan, and be honest, I say Michael Jordan's the greatest professional, but he didn't have the type of pressure that LeBron had coming out of high school. Nobody saw Michael Jordan being Michael Jordan. They saw him being probably a good basketball player come out of North Carolina, but nobody didn't see him being the GOAT. If he was going to be seen as being the GOAT, I doubt Portland would have traded him for Sam Bowie. I think Portland would have kept that pick. You can imagine Michael Jordan on the team with Clyde Drexler, Clyde the Glide. That would have been interesting. But you think about that. Who has faced the type of pressure coming into the league from high school as LeBron James has? Not even the great Moses Malone. Or you can correct me on that. Had the type of pressure coming into the league out of high school as a LeBron James has. And LeBron James has delivered. Yes. His championship record is 3-6, 3 wins, 6 losses. But I be hearing people say that John Elway was the greatest quarterback. He lost more Super Bowls than he won. But yet nobody seems to care. Well, John Elway, he to me he's the greatest because they look how many Super Bowls he lost. He didn't win a Super Bowl or 2 until they got, who should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, Terrell Davis. They got Terrell Davis in the backfield that helped Denver secure those 2 championships. So John Elway was able to leave on top, but he was 2-5. 2-3. Well, I'm going to say it's 2-3. He was 2-3 in Super Bowl performance. That doesn't negate, but the fact that LeBron James was able to go to the big show 9 times, that's impressive. And he did defeat the 2016 Golden State Warriors, who arguably the Golden State Warriors are one of the greatest NBA teams of all time. When it's all said and done, they're going to be up there with the Bulls and the Lakers and the Celtics and the Pistons when it's all said and done. And he was able to beat them when they had, won all those games in the regular season. This is pre-Kevin Durant era. And arguably, LeBron is interested. So, I mean, with that said, I wasn't getting on here to talk about that per se, by his recent thing. I was more interested in touching bases on the controversy that was had when he posted on his Instagram account, like they said, to his almost nearly 46 million followers, that he's getting that Jewish money. But he was quoting a rap lyric from a 21 Savage. I don't want to keep up with these new cats, man. I'm Tupac, Jay-Z. I appreciate some of the new guys. I'm more of a Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, Tupac, all that stuff, Biggie. But he got in trouble. They say he was anti-Semitic. To me, LeBron James is a Hebrew. Think about his story. Like you said, he was born December 30th. That's 5 days after Christmas. Who was allegedly born on December 25th? Or we celebrate or observe his birthday on December 25th? Jesus, the Hebrew. Jesus, the Hebrew. All right? Who was also born to a teenage mother of supposedly virgin birth, the Virgin Mary. But his mama, she was a teenage mother. LeBron, coming through, like I said, his high school career, it's like he was walking on water. He was surreal. You could make the case that he was the greatest high school basketball player of all time, easily. And he delivered on the hype. Just like in his career, he has delivered at the professional level as well. But think about Jewish money. He is getting the Jewish money. Like I said, LeBron to me is a Hebrew. He is a Hebrew. Jesus was a black man from Africa. LeBron James is a black man from New Africa. Because America is Africa. This is the 400-year anniversary year of the so-called first enslaved Africans, prisoners of war coming to America. But you already had melanated folks here, and that's another program. But LeBron James is a messianic figure for his industry. I mean, when he left Cleveland, them people hate him like, who really killed Jesus? You know what I'm saying? They were hating him like that. They had was burning jerseys, and they should have been burning crosses, hanging nooses off of street lights. They hated LeBron for leaving Cleveland. Yeah, hey, look, a young black man had so much power that he actually boosted the economy of a poor big city. They depended more on LeBron James in Cleveland than they did on the governor or the mayor of Cleveland or the governor of Ohio. They held him more accountable for their economy than those people. Then when he come back, downtown booming again. That's a black man. That's one man. That's amazing. When Jordan retired the first time, Chicago wasn't dependent on Michael Jordan for their economy like Cleveland was dependent on LeBron James for their economy. At least that's the perception. People are getting money off of LeBron. They were getting that Jewish money off of LeBron. That long money. But anyway, playing at Quicken Loans Arena, playing for Dan Gilbert. And I really do believe that was like we wrote that angry letter like he was like, mad at a runaway slave. That LeBron and Dan set that up. That was like a Machiavellian 48 laws of power move where Dan and LeBron probably said, look, man, I'll come back in a couple years so y'all get them draft picks in order. Because if LeBron stayed in Cleveland after 2010, they would never got Kyrie Irving or even Kevin Love, and they would never won one championship. There was 52 years in the making. So, with that said, he's a legend just by giving Cleveland, the city, their first championship in 52 years. Michael Jordan never had that type of pressure to deliver like that as LeBron James. From high school on, I mean, LeBron James met the standard and took it to the next level. Now, with that said, I still do believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest professional basketball player of all time, in my humble opinion. Not because I'm just so smart and all that stuff, but because I just look at, what he was able to do, what he had. You know what I'm saying? He really got the most out of his talent. I mean, he really pushed himself to the limit. Like I said, Nobody saw Michael Jordan coming. Not even Dean Smith, his coach at North Carolina. They knew he was a good. Michael Jordan was a good player. Ain't no doubt about that. He was a good player, but he didn't have the dominance come out of high school like a LeBron James had. You know what I'm saying? So let's be honest about that. Give LeBron James his props. Michael Jordan, greatest professional basketball player of all time. Debatable, because anything's open to debate when you talk about, these type of conversations. LeBron James, arguably the greatest high school basketball player of all time, and one of the greatest, if not the greatest, according to some people, professional basketball player. Can you imagine what LeBron could have did if he played college? I don't know. It's not even that important to me right now. But what I'm saying is, let's get back to this conversation about the Jewish money thing. LeBron never should apologize for that. He never should apologize for that. It wasn't anti-Semitic. It was he was saying it out of admiration for the Jewish people, that he wanted that long-term generational wealth money. LeBron James is building a dynasty, an empire against all odds. He want to make sure that his kids' and kids' eat. Okay? That's what this is about. He look at the long game. So, I mean, ain't nothing wrong with what he doing. I mean, look, Donald Trump had a head start. You know what I'm saying? Donald Trump can't really knock LeBron James like that. LeBron James came from nothing and made something. But he didn't come from nothing. He came from, he's from the universal people. We are the universal people. He already had something that the universe blessed him with, and he amplified it through this wicked system on his own terms. So you got to give LeBron his props on that. Donald Trump had a nest egg. He didn't have to start from scratch. He didn't start from the bottom. Like, another cat from Queens, 50 Cent, started from the bottom. Donald Trump never had to start from the bottom. His daddy got that corporate welfare money from the U.S. government, the government. Yeah, I was talking about people taking EBT cards and misusing them, supposedly. You got Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies taking all type of money, subsidized money, welfare, corporate welfare money from the government to finance their empires. People got mad at Barack Obama when he said, the government help you start your business. And people got mad, they all enraged, but he told the truth. You could not do this without a government infrastructure. You got to have somebody to pave the roads, to regulate things, make sure things are, for the most part, kind of on the up and up. They have access to the playing field. The private market can't do that. Capitalism, to me, honestly, is a failure because the majority of the people on the planet are poor. So how can it be that capitalism is a success when people are being denied just the necessities to be able to live a certain type of life? How can it be that we worship people that get, they are so greedy that only 1% of the population controls the majority of the world's assets and wealth? That's crazy. And we worship these people like they gods. But people crap on LeBron James for being confident in himself. And he should believe that he's the greatest of all time, like Ali did. Ali had the audacity to believe that he was the greatest. People laughed at him. People thought he couldn't be Sonny Liston not only once, but twice. They thought he couldn't do it. Gave him the prime of his career to take a stand, or like a Kaepernick supposedly. Came back, still was able to whoop some ass and take names. And people now know him as the greatest. Just like he's went from calling himself Cassius to Muhammad. And people did not want to acknowledge that. I remember I saw an interview with Rocky Marciano before he died. It's online on YouTube. And he had some interesting things to say about Ali. He respected Ali, but he kept on calling him, I believe, Cassius, when he, at that time, changed his name to Muhammad Ali. I saw that as a sign of disrespect. You should honor people who want to be called by a certain way. If a person want to be addressed a certain way, address them as such. Don't be treating people like you want to be treated. That was just bullshit about, I treat people like I want to be treated. Sometimes people don't want to be treated like you want to be treated. Well, sometimes people want to be peed on. You know what I'm saying? You want to be peed on? So I'm just saying, we got to stop this. We got to understand where people's coming from. It's not about you, like everybody got to understand you all the time. Sometimes you got to reach out there and understand where other folks coming from. But with the Jewish money thing, I thought it was interesting. He shouldn't apologize for that. I remember some years ago, and now, been about 20 years ago, Remember when Puffy came out with that song, All About the Benjamins? All About the Benjamins, baby. And he said a line there, stack chips like Hebrews. Then the owner of his label, of the person that, the parent of the parent label, not the owner, but the exec, Clive Davis, who was the mentor, supposedly, of Whitney Houston, and a lot of other folks, like Alicia Keys, he got enraged to hear that line. Like Puffy said, stack chips like Hebrews. I believe they had to pull that line out the future recordings of that song, whatever. I believe they pulled out that line, stack chips like Hebrews, but Clyde Davis lost his shit over that line. And my thing, Clyde Davis okay with a black artist calling people niggas and bitches, black women bitches and stuff, and black people niggas, but he's not okay with line that was not disrespectful to, in my opinion, Jewish people, but as it was given as a sign of respect, stacking chips like Hebrews. Think about chips like Hebrews. I'm thinking about casinos. And who started all that casino stuff in Vegas? Yeah, it had some casinos, but Jewish mob people ran casinos in Vegas. Meyer Lansky. We all know about Bugsy Siegel. Mo Daly's from Cleveland. I believe from the Mayfield Road mob up in Cleveland. You got people like Mo Sedway, Gus Greenbaum. Jewish folks ran the casinos for the mob. Even that movie Casino, Frankie Lefty Rosenthal was a Jewish guy from Chicago who ran it for the mob. So stacking chips like Hebrew, even in line with Snoop Dogg in America's Most Wanted, own a fly casino like Bugsy Siegel and do it all legal. Own a fly casino just like Bugsy Siegel and do it all legal. That what Bugsy trying to do, be legitimate. He was a killer. Murder Inc. was ran by Jews. Louis Lepke, Buckhalter, Lansky, Siegel. See, Jews, played a hand in organized crime. They taught the Italians how to organize. Arnold Rothstein, who fixed the 1919 World Series. The Black Sox scandal. Think about it. He trained all those gangsters and stuff how to organize and bootleg and stuff. So, we got to be real about it. So, with that said, he also think about, that Busta Rhymes song. We're getting A-Rab money. We're getting A-Rab money. He had a song called We're Getting A-Rab money. And he was paying homage to how the Arabs get their money. They organize like the Jews, get their money. You go to your local neighborhood store. Who running the store? Ain't black folks, ain't black Americans descendant of enslaved people. It's not us. When I say us, I'm talking about black Americans who got connected to the slave trade, to the Jim Crow. I ain't talking about Obama. And there could be argued about Obama about who his daddy really is, who, in my opinion, was a black man that he knew growing up. But this is not that podcast show for that moment. What I'm saying is, what was the outrage when Busta Rhymes did A-Rab money several years ago? Maybe 10 years ago now. Man, time go by fast. But I remember 20 years ago that people used to say, oh, you so ghetto. That's so ghetto. You so ghetto. That's so ghetto. Who were they talking about when they were saying that? Who were they referencing? What group of people they were targeting? More than likely, they were talking about African Americans. But truth be told, the original definition of ghetto were places in Europe where Jewish people live for segregation reasons. Jewish people could not own property in Europe at one point. Jewish people, I think about Ashkenazi, Sephardic Jews. Look about these different Jewish groups. But they could not own property in Europe at the time, but they controlled finance. Shakespeare talked about the Shylock, the loan shark, all that stuff. They go to control the financing. The Rothschild dynasty started in a German ghetto. Once again, the Rothschild banking dynasty started in a German ghetto. Take a look. It's all online. They organized themselves in the ghetto. It's like an organized crime in America. Jewish folks living in the ghetto organize themselves. They organize their rackets. They control labor, control the garment industry. They control a lot of different rackets. The murder racket, Murder Inc., like I said earlier. They organize among themselves. So, but in 1998, 99, 2000, that So Ghetto was meant to be a put down. It was aimed towards black people. But the original term ghetto or ghetto meant places in Europe where Jewish people lived. See, black folks get slandered and liable all day. It's only so many times you can say bitch on TV or on the movie or whatever, but you can say nigga all day long. And nobody stands up for black people. We're not a protected class. Jews and gays are a protected class of people in this country. Reason why? Because they organize well. They write checks that don't bounce. They write big checks that don't bounce. They buy their policy. They buy their politicians. Whereas they tell poor folks to vote, rich folks buy their politicians. They buy their policy. But they tell poor people, disenfranchised people, oppressed people, repressed people, go vote. Koch brothers ain't sitting in no or standing in no line for 8 hours to vote in their precinct where they only have maybe 3 voting machines, maybe 2 actually working, waiting in line with thousands of people for 8 hours. That's the reality for a lot of poor people. And then when you vote, they make sure your vote don't count because you might have something on your record. You know you had a felony. You know you had this lien or all this other stuff they want to make up, and your vote get thrown out. So you waited 8 hours in line only to have your votes not count. But yet, guaranteed, people that represent the interests of the Walton family, of Monsters Inc., a.k.a. Monsanto, of the Koch brothers, they're not wasting their time standing in line to vote. Because your vote only count when they want it to count. That was proven down in Georgia. We had the Secretary of State running for the governor of Georgia. And even when he tried to vote, for him, his machine did not work. It malfunctioned. You can look this up all online. Take a look. It's all online. Okay? You can look all this stuff up. So LeBron tried to get into that space where he ain't trying to wait 8 hours in line to vote. He want to buy policy. He want to buy his politicians to help his people, take care of his people. See, LeBron has his disciples too. He got his crew of homeboys he grew up with. He made them wealthy. They're not as wealthy as LeBron, but they're not suffering either. You got to take care of your people. You got to come up. You can't come up by yourself. You got to have a crew. Even Kevin Hart understands this. You got to take care of your crew. You can't be there by yourself. You be caught up like a Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby messed up because he got disconnected from the community. And also Bill Cosby messed up because he didn't make sure that DA extorted him too. He blackmailed him too, man, in a way, because he told Andrea Constant that she didn't have a case, but she had a civil case. They could create a civil suit for her. So I won't be surprised if he got a little bit of some money from kickback from Andrea Constant. But I could be wrong. But he helped her still, even though he knew that she was lying. I mean, because he couldn't find no evidence. He knew that something wasn't right. So he knew this couldn't not held up in a court of logic. But when you're dealing in a court of insanity and a lynch mob mentality in the public opinion, it's a different story. See, LeBron, I hope he's smart enough to know you got to buy these people. It's not about appealing to their morality or ethics. They don't have any. Individuals only have moral compass. You can't depend on society to dictate your morality. If you do, then you are through before you get started. You got to develop your own code. But Bill Cosby should do like Bugsy Siegel. When Bugsy Siegel was facing that murder charge of one of his gangster friends, Harry Greenberg. Harry Greenberg was on a run, came out to Los Angeles, and it's believed that Bugsy Siegel played a hand in his murder, one of his Jewish gangster colleagues. He demanded that the DA give back the $30,000 contribution he made to his campaign. And the DA did that. He said, what the hell I'm paying you money for? I'm going to face some murder charges. And he beat the rap. Bugsy beat the rap, and we all know what happened to Bugsy. The guy's pretty face shot up, several years later. But what I'm saying is, Bugsy knew the power. He understood how you got to make your money work for your self-interest. Anybody who are big players in these games understand that you don't work for your money. Your money works for you. Poor people work for their money. Rich folks make their money, or wealthy people make their money work for them. LeBron is getting into that place. See, people say, well, he got college. And there's a lot of people that's educated fools. A lot of us are educated fools. I'm one of them because you go to college and they can't deliver on promise you a security in the workforce in the ever changing economy. So you go 6 figures into debt, and y'all calling LeBron James dumb, who only has a high school degree. Yeah, he has all this money. He's doing so much good. That I Promise School. Whatever y'all say about it, at least he's doing stuff. My thing is, you can't please everybody, man. Most people don't really have an idea of how the world works. If they do, we would be revolutionaries. Everybody who's being oppressed would overthrow this horrible system. But yeah, people are placated to looking at Super Bowls, basketball, bowl games, reality TV, because people don't want to face the reality of how they are being bamboozled and hoodwinked. Then you got folks telling poor people just to vote, vote, vote. Don't demand nothing from these people, but just to vote, 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 vote. And the thing about it is, I can't blame the elected officials because they're not real leaders. Once again, let me say it, and go over a lot of y'all heads. I cannot blame elected officials because they're not real leaders. They're representatives. And they represent the interests, so-called interests of whoever put them in office or their so-called community. If we're not educating our so-called representatives about what we need, if we're not supplying them with an agenda, we can't blame them for our situation. We got to get away from being all, oh man, I love Obama. I like the way he looks and sounds. I like Stacey Abrams. She's a black woman. She's educated. Forget all that. Don't focus on candidate. Focus on policy. Focus on creating an agenda. It's not important who's in office. He could be orange like Donald Trump. As long as we hold them accountable and let them know that we have organized pressure to make them do what we want. It's like what Franklin Roosevelt told A.L.L and Randolph. Yes, you are correct about the current situation as it relates to the discrimination of black people in the workplace, in particular the military industry complex, but you got to force me to do something about it. You got to put pressure on me so I could do the right thing. So I could say as a politician, hey man, I had to do right by the people. They demanded this because if we didn't do that, they'll vote our asses out. See, we forgot those lessons. We never knew them. We don't teach. That's why it's kind of perplexing when you have GOAT debates. Michael Jordan is a great basketball player, but you can make a case for anybody being the GOAT. You can make a case for Oscar Robertson being the GOAT. Magic Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, most definitely. He's never heard of Holly. Bill Russell. Michael Jordan ain't won more rings than Bill Russell. Bill Russell, y'all talking about how dominant Shaq was. Bill Russell dominated 1960s basketball. He dominated. He won 11 rings out of 13-year playing career. And even coach winning rings. You know what I'm saying? That's impressive. What nobody say. But because we don't study our history and know who we are, we at a loss. So with LeBron James, he never should have ended up apologizing because he's a Hebrew. He's Semitic, man, as far as I'm concerned. King James, he's like a religious figure for some people. People love King James. He got a following. 46 million Instagram listeners don't lie, but he had to give in to a group of people that represents 1% of the population. And people tell me, well, they so small. It's not about being small. It's about being organized. It's about organized. This is all about organizations. It's about group. It's group politics, group economy. 100 years ago, if you was a Jew, Irish, or Italian, you was considered a nigger. You was considered a nigger in America. Just fresh off the boat. Fresh off the boat. Fresh off the boat. You was considered a nigger. What did they do to get their power? The Irish, the Italian, the Jews, what did they do? They took control. They started organizing. Irish took control of the police unions, police stations on the East Coast. Italians, fire station. Jewish people got into unions. They started organizing. You control the unions, control the police, control the fire department. Look at Tammany Hall was ran. Irish controlled Tammany Hall, you know. Group politics. You need group politics to win. You can't go in as an individual. They get you like that. It's like what happened to Cosby. He got alienated from his base. What Cosby should have did was pay the DA or put some money behind his campaign to make sure he stayed DA. He should have got familiar with his local law enforcement officials, elected officials. He should have put money behind certain type of policies and legislations to get passed. Cosby messed himself up. Bill Cosby is what I call, like a lot of us, he was an educated fool. And he's been so insulated from the reality of the world for so long. I mean, he's been famous and a celebrity since the 1960s. First black person starring, I guess a mini series or a series on TV, I Spy. First black TV star, arguably. So he's been so insulated. I mean, he's been getting shaken down for so many years. Like I pointed out to somebody recently, at one point, I don't know if they still got this. Dr. J, the great basketball player, and Bill Cosby were business partners in a Coca-Cola bottling plant outside of Philadelphia. Well, I found interest by both of these men. They were prominent, well-respected men in their field, successful entrepreneurs. Both of their sons were killed in crazy ways. Bill Cosby, we know the story about Bill Cosby's son, but a lot of people are not aware about the situation with Dr. J's son. I believe they say he was on drugs, whatever. A lot of people on drugs. I think most of the country on some type of drug, whether illegal or legal. But I believe they found him in the bottom of a lake in Florida in his car still. And there's a lot of questions around that never been answered. So not that long after Bill Cosby's son was killed on the freeway out there, the 405 out there in LA. So what is so important to think about, LeBron James know that he needs backup. Just like Marion Barry understood that. He overstood that. Marion Barry, if you go to DC today, they unveiled that 8-foot statue, I believe, of Marion Barry back in March of last year. And one thing that people love about Marion Barry, that he helped everybody. He helped folks coming out of prisons get a second to redeem themselves, but also own their own businesses. He helped kids, helped jobs in the summer. They could save money no matter how much money your parents made. You was able to get a job through Mayor Marion Barry's administration. And people were able to go to school, go to college for the first time, first one in their family, because of things Marion Barry implemented. Also, forcing the DC government to hire minority subcontractors, black subcontractors, giving black folks jobs in the government, making black DC relevant once more. Just like what Maynard Jackson did in Atlanta, where they forced the airport contract to resubmit their contracts with minority subcontractors, made a black business class, made a black elite wealth class. That was Marion Barry did. This is what real leadership looked like. People who understand they have an agenda to serve the community. Marion Barry came out the Civil Rights Movement. He was the first chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So he actually was on his way to get a PhD, I believe, in chemistry, left with just only a few credit hours. He was away from getting his PhD to focus on how can I serve my people? How can I help black people get ahead? And he dedicated his life to that. And y'all be making jokes about Marion Barry because the enemy wants y'all to discredit Marion Barry. But when he died, he was broke. That meant he was not corrupt. Yes, he was flawed. Yes, he had his failings as a human being, but he did not screw over his people. He served his people. And like with LeBron, only time will tell. Now, LeBron can't say he's greater than Michael Jordan because he's more vocal politically. And he's out there, making statements on his social media. And Michael Jordan they didn't have social media back in the day. And Michael Jordan, when Harvey Gantt ran against Jesse Helms Jr. for the U.S. Senate, a lot of folks will have said that Michael Jordan didn't say more. He said something to the effect that even Republicans buy shoes. But Jesse Helms was definitely a racist and a white supremacist. His father was in law enforcement in North Carolina. He actually had some encounters with the great Robert Williams. Negroes with Guns, Radio Free Dixie, that Robert F. Williams. Look him up. He's online. We don't know our history. But he said even Republicans buy shoes. That's what Michael Jordan said. And people got mad at him for that. But I'm not looking for entertainers to be my leaders. It go back to what Malcolm said at that UC Berkeley interview back in '63. Why are black folks looking for entertainers to be their spokespeople? Like Dick Gregory understood that the job of entertainer is to bring awareness, but also to raise money for the movement. You know, people like him, Harry Belafonte, they knew their roles. They didn't see themselves as being in the same leadership position as Dr. King or Malcolm X. They knew their roles. Like, you know, I talked to a brother who worked with Brother Malcolm, a good brother, A. Peter Bailey, several years ago. He was saying, man, Malcolm used to go in on these people. Like, he talked about, you know, entertainers can't be leaders and all this stuff. Like, people like Leonard Horn called out Dick Gregory, but behind the scenes, these folks would give him all types of money. They were supporting behind the scenes because people knew their role. Even Khalid Muhammad, the great Khalid Muhammad, he has celebrity supporters behind the scenes. People give him money behind the scenes. See, everybody got a role to play. Everybody don't have to be in the front lines, but we got to support certain things. And I was thinking about today. We got to have a real black secret society. I ain't talking about this Boule mess. Y'all into the Boule. Shout out to the ancestor Steve Coakley for exposing this type of stuff. But we need a secret society like everybody else got. That's in the best interest of black folks. And all black folks and people don't need to know that it exists. Hence, secret society. They work in the interest of liberating black people. We got to start thinking about it. You know, people, Judge Joe Brown, he criticized Jimi Hendrix, but Jimi Hendrix had black people that liked him. And that's another thing. I respect Judge, but the thing about it, reality is, Jimi Hendrix gave a lot of money to the Black Panther Party, and he was a threat, just like John Lennon was a threat. And that's why they had to eliminate Jimi Hendrix, because he was conscious. Jimi Hendrix was giving money behind the scenes to the Black Panther Party. He brought the Panther paper all the time. Jimmy was woke, as they say. And he was not a drug addict, as they try to make him out to be. He was actually, his group was called The Experience, because it's all about, we want to experiment life. We want to try things. A lot of people try drugs. John Coltrane, the great John Coltrane, tried LSD for artistic purposes, to free his mind, to be able to do the things he was able to do on that saxophone. So, I mean, LSD was developed by the CIA, and y'all trust these people. The CIA, they put fucking LSD in the bread in France, in a town in France back in the 50s. People started jumping out of windows, killing themselves. You can't trust these wicked people with your life, but we do it every day. We believe everything. We like Mockingbird, like the Operation Mockingbird they got, the CIA, where they infiltrated media. They controlled the media. They still do this to this day. 60 Minutes, they are CIA consultants. A couple years ago, y'all remember when that one of those 60 Minutes correspondents got killed in that horrible car crash? Who's to say that the CIA was not involved in that? But y'all be getting scared. Y'all, well, Brother Ron, you talk bad about Kwanzaa. We gotta start critical thinking. Did I say anything bad about Kwanzaa? No. I believe the principles are good, but guess where the principles come from? Y'all know anything about the SLA? The Symbionese Liberation Army? The Symbionese Liberation Army, the one that's supposed to kidnap the media heiress Patty Hearst, supposedly. Kwanzaa principles come from their manifesto. See, all these groups and stuff are government creations. Like I said, Nation of Islam, y'all gonna take it down. I know you emotional Negroes, y'all hear something about Nation of Islam. Oh, Brother Ron said, he said some bad about Farrakhan. Yeah, how y'all be acting. I know the Fruit of Islam be listening to my stuff, because every time I go to the event, they always know who I am. Then I ask him, can I meet Farrakhan? I got something to give him. Like, I want to recognize him. Oh, brother, we can't let you meet Farrakhan, but we know who you are, bro. You do good work. But Farrakhan can meet with Alex Jones. And he meet with folks that denounce him. Met with Barack Obama. They was afraid that if he saw in the photo, I'm not afraid to be in a photograph with Farrakhan, giving him an award. It don't faze me. You know, I'm almost 40 years old. This system has not, given me anything such as a comfort for me to be a sellout. You know what I'm saying? But when I'm saying Nation of Islam, you can find a clip online of Malcolm X talk about the Nation of Islam will compromise with police. They always had police in the Nation of Islam. A lot of Malcolm's security was compromised with police. Eugene Roberts, his chief bodyguard, was NYPD. Who was on the scene when Malcolm got shot up at the Audubon? He was NYPD. The press secretary, the spokesperson for the nation after Malcolm, John Ali, responsible for the correspondence between Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, was the FBI. This has been proven. Y'all too busy want to hate on people. I ain't saying everybody, but y'all getting y'all feeling. I be looking at the comment section. I don't comment. It's a miracle that I can still do anything. I just not in the social media thing is interesting. But I read the comments. I said people that all they gotta do before they open their mouth, You can either listen to all I'm saying, and then number two, do your research. I want to encourage y'all to step away from this cult of personality thing that we've been programmed to do, where we get so into the messenger that we leave the message behind. Go back to what I said about mailman theory. You don't follow your mailwoman around the neighborhood. Once they come to your mailbox and put your mail in the mailbox that was meant for you, you go to the mailbox. You don't follow them around the neighborhood on their route, right? You don't, I mean, and she's so fine. Oh, man, she is fine. That's crazy. You go to your mailbox. Sometimes the message could be junk mail. Sometimes it could be a very important message of substance. You know what I'm saying? You got to discern if the message is for you. But don't worry about the messenger, because everybody got flaws and shortcomings. But it's like even LeBron James. He does a lot of good work, and people are so emotional. Yes, we all can agree, I believe, that LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But if he is the greatest, that's debatable like anything else. Oscar Robertson could be the greatest. It's not about having the most rings. There's a lot of great players that never won a ring. There's a lot of great actors that never won an Oscar. There's a lot of great singers and musicians that never won a Grammy. Don't mean they ain't great. Then you got to ask yourself the question, who decides the standard? Who decides the standard? And then, why is that black folks always getting screwed over in media representation? What is this media business really all about? You think about the foundation of the entertainment industry. It was based on racism. Stephen Foster. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. If I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Thomas Daddy Rice, blackface. You got immigrants coming from Europe, never met a black person, but they're going to put on blackface to make their money, make a living for their families. See, black folks really, right now, as it stands, we're a permanent underclass. We're blamed for everything. We're the boogeyman of white America, of white society, or white mediocrity. This is not the dominant society. It's not dominant. It's weak. The reason why it's weak is it preys on divide and conquer. This is a system that divides and conquers the strong, the real strong people, the strong men and women and children. They prey on strength. It's like if you're a whale and white mediocrity is really the barnacles on the whale. Black people, we the whale. We like a force of nature, but yet we're not utilizing our strength to our full potential because we lack a cohesive vision. It's not about everybody getting along. It's about solidarity. Like black folks, like when I talk about the Kwanzaa thing, it's like, man, we got black and white on Karenga. But the thing about it is, I never disparage anybody from celebrating Kwanzaa. Because you look at all the holidays. Look at every single one. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Columbus Day especially. Look at all these holidays. Like mythology, man. You got to reclaim your narrative. You create what you want to create in the world. I encourage people to do that. But with the thing about, you can't be afraid to talk about certain things. Like even with the situation with some of the Jewish rabbis, like organ harvesting, the black market. You got articles in the New York Times, like Baba Dick Gregory would show you, because he already know how we've been trained not to believe each other, how to not to trust black people. When we say information, even though we might do our research, we got credentials. But he said, he always say, run, punch up on your computer, New York Times, Jewish rabbis, organ harvesting, New Jersey. This is when Chris Christie, who was a former governor of New Jersey, was the state attorney general, and they bust a black market ring where they were doing organ harvesting led by some Jewish rabbis. Is that anti-Semitic to point out that they busted a ring of organ harvesting led by Jewish rabbis when I'm telling you a fact that this happened? Does this look bad upon all Jewish people when some Jewish people do bad? When we talk about Jewish gangsters like Lansky and Rothstein and Siegel, does it reflect poorly on all Jewish people? But they existed. Do we blame all Jews for Jack Ruby killing Lee Harvey Oswald? Jacob Rubenstein, who worked for Richard Milhouse Nixon? Yeah, I'm going to do my Bush thing coming up too. But I'm saying with Judge Joe Brown, Dick Gregory, y'all get caught up in the cult of personality. Don't get caught up in that. Don't be afraid to challenge what they're saying by doing your own research and coming to your own conclusions. That's including me. You know, a lot of y'all be saying, well, bro, why you didn't correct so-and-so? Brother, y'all never, a lot of y'all never sit down with Dick Gregory. A lot of y'all probably gonna never sit down with Judge Joe Brown. They have lived some interesting lives. They have been involved with some interesting people and things. I respect them as people to allow them and to have allowed Dick Gregory to say their piece. They're very passionate. My thing is, just don't take everything verbatim from anybody. Do your research. Don't even trust everything you read. Judge Joe Brown said something that's very important because he's a Black Panther. He got Black Panther roots, right? The Panthers always talk about, if you want to learn something, you got to heighten the contradictions. If you want to understand how the world works, you heighten the contradictions. You get information that kind of contrasts with each other. It don't always go along. You got to wake up that critical thinking apparatus in your brain. Just like I remember Professor Oakenfuss. I don't know if he's still alive because he was old back then. When I first went to Washington University in St. Louis, we used to have conversations. I never took a class from him, but he was a professor of Russian studies at WashU in St. Louis, Missouri. And he was also involved in the Cold War with naval intelligence. He was spying on the Russians through naval intelligence. And he would tell me, but Ron, when I talk about Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, in my classes, I give my students a reading list of things as pro and con Stalin. Like, I give them books where people wrote letters from to home from the government saying that Joseph Stalin was misunderstood. It was actually people in the administration that was undermining his effectiveness as far as being a leadership. I mean, he was some people say he was a monster. You got other government officials say they was in fear of their lives. He killed a lot of people. Stalin killed way more people than Hitler. Yeah, Hitler is the monster, but Stalin, man, Stalin killed millions and millions of his country people. This is not an exaggeration. He killed more people than died in World War II, I believe, over his regime. Now, you should look that up, what I just said. But he killed way more people than Adolf Hitler ever killed. And Stalin really was trying to make a deal with Adolf for not coming to Russia. But Adolf thought he knew better. If Adolf studied history, the feelings of a lot of great, so-called Antichrist figures is when they tried to invade Russia. Russia cannot be conquered for geographic reasons because the way where they at is torturous winters. It's been reports on the Stalin regime how people were starving so bad they resorted to cannibalism. Then you got to deal with the Russian people. They ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? It's like Stalin was trying to keep the peace with Adolf. And that's what Adolf really messed up at when he invaded Russia. Because it was a Pyrrhic victory. Look up Pyrrhic victory. That's P-Y. Pyrrhic victory. P-Y-R-R-H-I-C, I think. But look that up too. I couldn't remember. But what I'm saying is, I want to encourage you all, like what the Professor Oakenfuss did with students, gave them like pro and con of Stalin. And then once they digest the material, they come to their own conclusion and their own perspective. I want to encourage people to be critical and free thinkers. That's what Dick Gregory was about. That it was Judge Joe Brown is about. I believe. Do your research. That's your assignment for 2019. But I know I'm all over the place. But it all ties a little. Like even LeBron James, study his story. From different sources. All this information out there available at your fingertips. But the thing about it is, LeBron James is a Hebrew. He's a Hebrew. LeBron James is Christ-like, hence the nickname King James. They want to say he gave him that name, but, LeBron James, they'll try to come after him too, like they do everybody else. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I believe, LeBron James is a student of not only basketball, but a student of the game, of the bigger game. And I wish their brother continued success. I don't always agree with everybody on everything. Like I said, he was afraid to really talk about the human rights situation. about what happened to John Crawford at Walmart. I believe that he should have talked about that, but I don't, make him a bad person if he didn't do it. Just like it don't make Michael Jordan a bad person for not being more vocally, from a political point of view, during the height of his playing career. They're entertainers. It's not on LeBron James to always speak up for every injustice. It shouldn't be on him. But I think that he does things, and like, to me, I don't know all the things he's doing. It's like people all the time criticizing celebrity. We got to think about criticizing people, saying they not doing nothing for black people, they not doing nothing for gay people, they not doing nothing for Jewish people, da da da. Pick your group that people are not doing enough for if they celebrities. I don't know all the things people are doing. It's like people didn't know all the things Aretha Franklin was actually doing as the diva of soul, queen of soul. People think, oh, she want to get Angela. She didn't get Angela Davis out of jail. She voiced her opinion publicly. I believe she would have done it, but it was a white man farmer out of California. Eventually got her bail or whatever. But I believe Aretha, she raised money for the movement. She toured, raised money for Dr. King and the movement. She put her money where her mouth was. She did a lot of things behind the scenes. She loved Detroit. Did a lot of things behind the scenes for the people of Detroit. That's why she got the love she got when she passed. And got that state funeral type of thing in Detroit. Because she is a real queen. She's more of a queen to me than Queen Elizabeth ever will be. Like King James is more of a royalty to me than Prince William or Harry or Meghan Markle will ever be. Because he came, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, but we got to reclaim the narrative of black people. We got to start amplifying our voices. Everybody amplify their voices. I mean, I'm glad to see so many black folks doing their thing on social media. I mean, I've really been binge watching other people's YouTube channels that I really respect and admire. And some people I don't even care for, I still study them. But I have noticed among us that we're very toxic when we are together with no type of plan or plan of action. It's like Neely Fuller. Look him up, who Neely Fuller is. That was Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's inspiration for doing the work, her lifetime work. A brother who don't even got a college degree, I believe, who was at one point, I believe, was a janitor. You know what I'm saying? He came up with the idea about this, how to live a coded life for black people. But he said something to the effect that you got to be your own individual organization as an individual. You got to have your own moral code as an individual. Dr. King said something that it still don't, I don't think people don't understand what he really was saying 50-something years ago when he said, we integrated into a burning house. We lost our moral compass. We lost our way when we try to be like them. Y'all know who damn is. Like, the good and the bad, we couldn't even discern anymore what was good and bad as it relates to being with them. And you got to rethink about, and that's another show about the strategy of the 60s. About, was it really should have been about integration? Was that really, because Linda Brown passed away. I think it was last year, Linda Brown from Brown v. Board. We don't understand. Linda Brown, her thing was, the white school was closer to her home. Her folks didn't feel like she should have been going across the way to the black school. The black school was not an inferior school. It was not. A lot of the best schools, during Jim Crow, a lot of the best high schools in the country and stuff like that were black schools. I mean, there were some schools in the middle, like Manassas High School, like Dunbar High School, in D.C. It's a lot of places in St. Louis. Sumner High School, which produced Dick Gregory, Arthur Ashe, Chuck Berry. These were not inferior schools. The thing about it is, with Pleasant v. Ferguson, it's about separate but equal. A lot of the black schools, black education never really been equally funded in this country. You understand what I'm saying? So the Brown v. Board thing was not about her going to a white school because it was better than a black school. It was about her going to the school closer to her home. Do the research, like the Central High School thing in Arkansas. Soon the black folks integrated the so-called Central High School thing, Little Rock 9. The wealthy white people pulled their kids out of Central High School and started charter schools and private schools. That's where this charter school stuff come from trying to integrate where you don't belong or they don't want you. So that's another story we could talk about. But, feel free to support this movement, this infotainment movement, because we all be in it to win it, and we all be out there for you. And so we could use y'all help. You could super chat this live premiere. Also, you could donate or donate PayPal, email r2c2h2@gmail.com. You can buy Art of His Gear. Look at the shelf below the video. I got my t-shirts. I have more coming out very soon. Support, buy art prints, r2c2h2.com. There's a lot of things. Become a patron at patreon.com/weallbe. Got a lot of things in store for 2019. I'm glad I did this this podcast. It's very cathartic. It's the first podcast of the year for the We All Be Nation. More to come. So many things on my mind. I had to digest this stuff. But LeBron James, he might be president one day. The way he's going, I think he's a man on a mission. But is he the GOAT? That's debatable, like anything else. But thank you all, family, for listening. One more time. Like I said, in the words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing.